Okay, welcome to today's webinar in the framework of the e-agriculture learning activity on drones in agriculture and rural development. Today we have with us Maria del Carmen Ruiz Jaén from FAO Panama, and she is a technical advisor in community-based monitoring and forestry. She is going to share her experience today on the use of drones for community forest monitoring, working closely together with indigenous communities in Panama during a project that is called Community Monitoring of Forests in Indigenous Territories in Panama. This project was supported by ONURED. She will explain to you how the technology was used, give you some insights on what worked well and what the challenges are, and what the impact was of the project on the communities involved. Without no further ado, I will give the floor to Marie Carmen so she can start her presentation. Thank you, Marie Carmen, for being here today with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and share my experience that we have had with indigenous territories in Panama, um, uh, teaching them how to do forest monitoring. Okay, so the presentation today, the outline is first I'm going to talk a little bit about the context of Panama, and then what was the goals of the project, how those incorporate the use of drones, and the lessons learned. So for you that not familiarized with Panama, Panama is a very small country in Central America, have less than 4 million population. Um, most the forest cover is 60% of the country, where in this uh, you can see there's a map. This is the forest cover map of Panama in 2012, the last cover map of the country, where is forest cover and um, no forest land use, where in red you can see where are located the indigenous territories of Panama. So it's very clear that indigenous territories are where the forest is. So because of that, um, we thought like we were doing to for the government to prepare to reduce the deforestation and forest degradation of the country. They need to work with indigenous territories. Also in Panama, there's 12 different form of governance in indigenous territories, and there are 7 different ethnic groups in Panama. So we work with all of them, and we were what we did. So also at the same time where we start this project, Panama, as many other countries, have been preparing to enter in the RED initiative. And one of the activities that a country needs to have is a national forest monitoring system. So in that parallel, so we want that indigenous communities, the monitoring of indigenous communities is included in this national forest monitoring system. So in order to do that, we work with the Ministry of the Environment of Panama as the government entity, which is the one that have to develop this national forest monitoring systems. And a key partner was the National Coordinator of Indigenous People of Panama. It's called CONAPIP, which is all the indigenous territories. Those 12 that I told you are all those authorities are related to this coordinator. So that's in order to work with them, it's better to start, have the connection with CONAPIP. So what we did, it was actually CONAPI that came to us that they wanted to have a better um, advocacy in the um, national monitoring system. So we worked together for doing a proposal where the main activities that what were included were doing capacity development and indigenous technicians in remote sensing and geographic information systems, as well as forest carbon inventories. So we taught them the same um, technology that was used at the level of the national level to them. Also, they wanted to have information of their own territories for their decision making. So we did the standardized methodology, so they all have the same information all over their territories. And also, it was important that where to store that information. So they have a network of monitoring, uh, well, a network of monitoring systems in different sites, and a server for all the information collected is stored. Um, okay. So also, parallel to that, it was very important that they didn't want to feel threatened about how the information was shared. So parallel to that, we also were developing a community intellectual property protocol. So we're because, for example, one of the things for measuring forest inventory is that you need to collect for plant samples. So we went to this make a protocol with lawyers of these groups that anytime someone is going to go to a community, they need to follow a process of to that they say that they will not use this information. I mean, in the sampling of the plants, they will only use it for knowing the species name, not for any other use. Um, so, and also we when we were teaching them, we also taught them all the same methodology used at the National Forest and Carbon Inventory of Panama. So I'm putting that because it was not only the drones. The drone was also part of this um, capacity building process. So specifically now, more about the technology that we share with them. It was mostly we use open source software, so they know how to use Google Earth Engine, QGIS, ODK, and now they also know how to do georeference, how to manage georeference databases using satellite information that comes, that all the satellite information that of satellite images is available, and the information that they have of forest inventories, and also the information that they have been collected using drones. And they also receive equipment for having all this collecting this data. So why we decide we start using the drones? Uh, they were wanted to have they're very worried about invasions of their land, which is one of the main problem that they have. People are invading their territories, so they wanted to have um, immediate information of that. And one of the best ways to cover bigger areas was having drones, data collected with drones. Also, Panama, most where the forest is it's all is covered by clouds, so it's very hard sometimes having good satellite images without any cloud cover in those areas. And in also, I mean, so these are very remote sites, so the drones help them to make it to cover bigger areas, not needing to have to walk all over those areas. So we now we're working with with fixed wings and also with multi-rotor drones, but we started first with this fixed wing equipment, which was relatively easy to use. It's very easy to repair this model that we use, and also it's also very good that it was we wanted to have a model that it was not a black box, that they were able to do everything, to do the mission, to plan their missions, to be able to um, download the information and make their ortho images. So that with that equipment we were able to do all of that. So that I'm talking this, we started using that last year. So now in the market there's plenty of different drones that can use that, but at that time there was no many where we can use for having all the goals that we wanted to. Oh wait. Okay. So these drones, I mean, this is all, I posted these specifications for you to see. It's a very light equipment. It's made of styrofoam, so it's easy to carry, relatively easy to carry. Um, and the camera, I mean, it's a Canon that is not like it's very high resolution images can come from this camera, and they can uh, with a 30-minute flight they can cover 64 to 85 kilometers areas. So we have developed checklists for pre-flight and post-flight use of drones, because I mean there's a lot of different little things that they need to take for them to not forget, and or even like put in like charger battery, things like that. That sounds like straightforward, but sometimes it's not when you're in a hurry or something. So we make this checklist, and then they have, one of the things important is just to have all the information that is needed to make sure also every single part is fixed, is not is working well before they go into the field. They also, before going there, they create a flight plan, and they also know where they're going to go, and they even download satellite images if they have from the area where they're going to collect data. And so, for example, this after they collect information, uh, so they use the software called Agisoft, that it was coming with the drone to make the georeference ortho mosaics, and also for visualizing the information, they use Google Earth Engine. For example, if they want to see different having pictures of different uh, times, and also they use the Google QGIS to make maps. For example, in these images, you can see a map created what one of an indigenous technician from Cunayala, which is a territory in the Caribbean side, in the eastern Caribbean side of Panama. And so we're with a drone image of a community, he he allocate like the different materials used for making the houses in that area. So we from this experience, we what are the most one of the biggest limitations that we had. So all the technicians that we trained, they were selected. We asked the authorities to give us names for the technician that they want us to to train, and we had some girls uh, that they were selected initially, but at the end of the project, they haven't continued. So that's something that we have to. It's a big challenge that we need in future collaboration. We need to address to to make sure that we keep the participation of the women in these activities. Um, the other thing is very important is now that there's all this network of indigenous technicians that are very good. Some of them um, are very active in their territories, uh, but we need to make sure that we work in the sustainability of the systems. Um, and also very important too is that the information that they're collecting, people believe in that. They're not like, oh, it's collected by indigenous people. They don't know what they're doing. So we have to make sure that people starting to have credibility of the information they collect, and they actually starting to have that at the national level. Important too is that the information that they collect, they can be shared with the government. So it's the comparability of the information that they're collecting, but we use the same methodologies that are used at national level. So that in that case, that is make it easier. The other thing too is that all these activities we need to connect it with Panama own commitment, international commitment. For example, the national determined contributions of the country. So this is still something that we are trying to incorporate. So um, so one of the things that the impact of the project is the so they so sorry, there was a picture there that I don't know why it's not there. It was the information that have been collected by these technicians. They now are participating these technicians in the at the for the national red strategy, and they are giving all their feedback to their authorities for helping decision making for the red program. So, oh, now is the good picture. Um, for them, also very important too is that what I mean there's when some of the technicians already are giving advice to their own communities and how to use the forest. For example, they're being developing a, a territorial planning of their communities, and they because of the tools that they learn about doing maps, so they're allowing them to show better how is their territory and how they gonna manage their land. They also one of the things that they also are doing is that they are reporting already some illegal logging operations in their territories. So the communities are now having a voice with a good data, so they can present to the to the government, to the police, whomever needs to have the 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 report. So the other thing too is that all the information that they're generating, because it's being collected by them, and they are very now empowered with this information. They can show to their authorities. And also, we have been very grateful for the collaboration that we have with CONAPIP, this coordination of Indigenous Territories of Panama, because with them we were able to work very well with all the traditional authorities in Panama. So that helped to also to give sustainability of the actions, because also they also put us with strategic partners that were helping them in the field. So they kind of like we collaborate with other partners that we are having similar goals. So the other thing too that CONAPIP help us is to make sure that during all the process of the capacity building, we follow the prior informed consent, and that was a key to the success of this project, because it's not easy working with the authorities or communities. So with CONAPIP, they were making sure that we always following that during all the process. So of course, one of the important thing is to how we're gonna continue this project. As I mentioned before, that definitely now we, as working with different partners, we have been trying to make joint proposals, and or using complement funding, so that we can have better impact in the communities. The other thing too that I was wanted to point it out is that these technicians, some are that like super good, that two of them went to Guatemala to show the Guatemala government, how to use drones. So they already given, they are already doing capacity building themselves, and not only to other indigenous groups, it's also to governments, which is very impressive. And when I went to Guatemala after their workshop, and they were very happy with them. And also we started, they already starting to do lessons, exchange of the lessons learned in Paraguay, in other indigenous communities of Paraguay. So with that, I'm done with what I wanted to share with you, and I'm
Okay,
happy
thank you
to
very
answer
much,
any
Marie Carmen, for this interesting presentation. As our participants can see, I have shared the links to the documents in the chat, where you can read the information she has shared in detail in English either or in Spanish if you're interested to know more. But of course, we will make some time to answer questions right now. I see somebody raised his hands. We have no possibilities to connect everyone with voice, because this is technically often difficult. So we prefer you to write your questions in the chat. So we will take a minute or two and wait for some questions, and then I will ask them to Marie.